All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here talking about real music in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. So, we're going to be talking about how rock stars spend too much money on this episode, and you can see it because of their behavior and the fact that they didn't plan very well. And so, some of them are hanging on maybe a little bit too long, maybe not. I mean, I get disagreement on this from the people who are patrons on this channel. Some people believe that, hey, it's great that they're still out there, and other people are more in my camp on this, where people are hanging out too long and maybe taking advantage of their name ID or the catalog that they represent, and they're not representing their catalog very well when they go out there and sing it. So anyway, and how this relates to Foreigner being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Here's Overland. If you like Foreigner, Bad Company, Journey, this is all of the above. It's really well done, well produced. This is a classic rock sounding album with a modern feel to it. But you can pop it in the CD player and you'll feel very much at home with the music. Steve Overland is just such a great singer, and he's got a lot of irons in the fire out there with different projects. But this is one of his better projects that he's involved in every few years. So again, Overland, this is the sixth album in the series, hence the name Six. And you can get that courtesy of Escape Music. Just go on their website. I think it's escape-music.com. Make sure you put in the dash. So here we go. Rock stars and hanging out maybe a little bit too long on the scene. I've covered this before, but I was reading this article. Lou Gramm says there is still a hatchet to be buried between him and Mick Jones. He says, I was not treated the way I thought I should be treated. And if you dig into the article, it's not about a personal relationship with Mick Jones. It's not about, hey, Mick is just a mean, ornery guy. He's a taskmaster. He's disrespectful to me. You dig into this, and it has to do with money. You know, Mick took most of the revenue for I Want to Know What Love Is. Last year, I read a couple of articles based on interviews that Lou Gramm had done, and it boils down to, hey, I deserve credit. Now, for many years, it seemed as though creative differences was the main thrust of Lou's argument about Mick Jones. Like, hey, I wanted to rock out. He was writing these ballads. I was getting tired of it, so I left. Maybe that was the thing initially, but when you boil down, this goes to just, hey, you know, I deserved credit for vocals here. I deserved credit for an idea that I didn't get credit for. And all of this kind of happened on the fly, probably mostly in the late 70s into the 80s. I think more during the 1980s, where the band did kind of soften up a little bit. I think if you analyze their catalog, every album has a ballad or a slower track, and has rockers as well. So you have rockers and ballads, and I don't think that's a problem. Journey did it. REO Speedwagon did it. Pretty much every successful band had to write a ballad and then hope to get it on the radio. Cheap Trick even succumbed to this on The Flame. They were not a ballad-oriented band. They had Tonight It's You as well, which was kind of ballad-ish. But really, when you think of Cheap Trick, you don't think of the same type of music as Journey or Foreigner or Styx or REO Speedwagon. So it's kind of interesting that Lou is doing interviews where he's saying, look, I needed a bigger percentage of the revenue. That's basically what he's complaining about. And how are you going to bury the hatchet with Mick Jones unless Mick says, hey, Lou, I'm going to cut you in. I'm going to give you what you deserve. I mean, if that's the goal, I think it's probably too late. That ship has sailed. Um, Maybe if Mick Jones apologizes and says, hey, I'm sorry, you deserved better. And Lou would probably come back and say, okay, let's find a lawyer and let's hash this out so I get what I deserve. Um, I don't deny Lou's claims about all this stuff, but here's what I'm curious about. So you're a rock star, right? Um, it's kind of like a scammer comes along and tries to say, hey, I'm really interested in you. When I say scammer, I mean person. And I love your work, and you're a very attractive person. And I'd like to go on a date with you. And before you know it, there's a relationship, right? And you're thinking to yourself, right? You should be thinking to yourself, is this person really interested in me, or are they interested in my money? And maybe I wasn't the best investor. Maybe I bought too many sports cars. Maybe I bought too many guitars, depending on who the musician is. Some musicians just buy guitars like they're shoes, like, oh, I got another guitar, and they're showing off their guitar on social media sites, and you're like, wow, dude, how many guitars can you play at the same time? I mean, yeah, you might want to have several different guitars for different sounds that you want to create, but it gets to be like, how many toys can I play with? And the same thing with sports cars. I mean, these rock stars with sports cars, it's like, dude, you're a 75-year-old guy. I'm just throwing out an arbitrary number. You kind of look silly in the sports car, to start with. But yet you need another one. And, I live in Southwest Florida. And typically, when I spot a really nice car, there is an older guy driving the car. Every so often, it's a woman, but I'd say 9 out of 10 times it's an old dude driving a car that is probably a little too high tech for his understanding, right? But he's got the money, so he's going to do that. We could probably solve world hunger, right, with a new attitude toward all of this decadence, this unnecessary decadence. Does it get you from point A to point B? Does it look presentable? Does it function the way it's supposed to function? Then that's a car, But I know it's expensive tastes that these guys have, and they want to let everybody know that that's what they're up to. So my point here is that I'm not saying this about Lou Gramm specifically, but maybe one too many wives, maybe one too many sports cars, maybe some poor investing. I remember poor Ross Valerie from Journey talking about his bad investments. David Lee Roth with his tattoo removal cream. He needed money for that. I don't know if that's still a thing, or he's still trying to pursue that option. We all make mistakes like this, but in the rock star world, I mean, you've got problems that many of us would like to have. Gee, I don't know. Should I buy this sports car or the other sports car? Maybe I shouldn't buy the sports car. Maybe I should invest that money, But it just seems that the rift between Mick Jones and Lou Gramm is more about money. In the old days, it seemed it was creative differences. Lou is out there singing these songs. He's not protesting. He's singing I Want to Know What Love Is. I mean, that was supposedly the song that broke up the band, much like Styx is out there performing Mr. Roboto. And supposedly, Kilroy was here, and that whole, time period was the reason that Styx broke up, because they just wanted to be a real rock band, Um, it's just these guys, they come up with a narrative and they put it out there to those of us who are left to care about it. There's not many. This is why I have a channel, because there's not that many people left to care about this stuff and to analyze it this way. Most of us are like, yeah, I really miss the music I grew up with. But that number is shrinking very quickly. And with the fact that a lot of this music isn't even on the radio anymore, and they're just playing the 1 or 2 or 3 songs by these bands that had, 10, 20 greatest hits or something, it's pathetic. I mean, look what they do to Journey, right? Journey has so many songs, and when you go to the concert, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about this one. Foreigner has a pretty deep catalog, and you got to give Mick Jones credit. He's kind of the architect, and he probably treated Lou Gramm as a servant, as, hey, do what I want you to do. You're my employee. I could hire someone else. In fact, he did. He hired Johnny Edwards on one album. Inside Information? No. Something about the Heat. Like I'm drawing a blank here. Unusual Heat, which did unusually bad on the charts because people weren't ready to accept Foreigner without Lou Gramm, even though they did a pretty good job of kind of just pretending Lou was still in the band. I think that was the record label that just pretended, hey, I'm not going to put anybody on the album cover. It's not a bad album if you go back and listen to it, but it was in the discount bins probably 6 months after it got released. It just didn't do well. So, but that's the way Mick Jones was treating Lou Gramm. So I will say from a creative standpoint that Lou should have been treated better. From a financial standpoint, Mick should have given Lou Gramm a much bigger portion of the revenue. However, with that said, rock stars, you guys, you spend too much money. You don't need 5 sports cars. You get married and divorced. Maybe stop doing that. Maybe learn your lesson, maybe date someone, or, don't get so heavily invested into a relationship that woman is going to take you to the cleaners. Again, how many times are you going to do that? I've seen it happen multiple times to certain people who end up needing to tour because they have to pay alimony, right? And that doesn't go away. That just goes on in perpetuity. It's kind of what Steve Perry did to Journey in reverse. He was married to Journey. They broke up with him. And so he got a great divorce settlement, and it's still paying out today. So all that to say, which again, I got a little bit verbose on this one. Just spend less and, make better investments. I mean, you should have something at the end of your career. It shouldn't just be like, and if, by the way, and if you need to raise revenue, you could sell cars, you can downsize your house. There are lots of things you can do to make ends meet and live your life, still way above most of us as far as all the amenities and all the things that you're used to having. A lot of these guys just aren't willing to give it up. And I understand that. Once you get used to something, it's like me, right? I was doing really good on YouTube, and I thought, hey, this is going to continue forever. And then all of a sudden, they cut the revenue in half, and I'm making more videos, and I'm getting more views and more subscribers. But what happened there? My expectations were shot. So anyway, folks, all that again to say, maybe rock stars don't have it so bad. Maybe they're doing okay, but would like to maintain a lifestyle that you and I will probably never achieve. And these fights, especially toward the end of careers, it's either about I did more than you did in the band, or, hey, I didn't get my fair share. And those are the two things people are constantly complaining about. This is why you have so many breakups and so many bands who won't get back together again because they hate working with the other person, because they feel as though that person probably screwed them over, and they're not even going to do it for the fans. And the fans are just sitting there going, what? I just want to see this band play. And they're all worried about if they're going to have a Ferrari or a Corvette or a mansion. And I'm spending $300 on this ticket probably money I should have saved. I have a lot of patrons who go to shows and they they spend the money because we're at the end of this era. So people want to get, their bucket list taken care of. All right. So I'm going to get this video taken care of here. Very long winded. Sorry. Here is Overland and their album 6. Okay. Check this out. Again, I talk a lot about Foreigner in this video and other bands, and this is right in that particular wheelhouse, like a pair of really comfortable broken in slippers. Overland, their album 6. Check it out. Also, folks, please, if you want to support this channel, you can do it through Patreon and through YouTube memberships. I appreciate every patron. I have conversations with patrons almost on a daily basis, some days more so than others. It's hard for me on social media. I just get, because I look at everything as social media. If I get messaged, it's like social media. So I try to get to all the messages. If I'm a little short with people, it's not because I don't want to talk to you. It's just that I have to get to all these other messages that I have, and then I have to kind of function as a human being throughout the day. And my phone is constantly going off because I'm getting notifications. I am just not a fan of this new normal, this era of communication. It's not my favorite, but I do try to keep up with the patrons. And again, also YouTube memberships. You can sign up there and you'll get early watching privileges. So when I drop this video, YouTube members will see it first. Also, a patron by the name of Dan reminds me that when you hit the notification bell, you have to drop down and then hit on where it says all. So you get all of the notifications, which I guess is more sophisticated than the way it used to be. It just shows you how much attention I pay to subscribing to other channels. Like, hey, I'll just subscribe and I won't get any notifications, and hopefully the videos will show up in my feed. So there you have it. Lou Graham, all these different folks out there who are still hanging on. Some of their motivation, folks, it might be financial. All right. It might not be because they really want to be out there anymore. If I were them, I'd be like hanging out at the villages, playing shuffleboard and doing stuff. Maybe not shuffleboard. I'm not a fan of shuffleboard. Maybe bocce ball, right? Something. And wearing my Bermuda shorts, getting out onto the golf course and just enjoying life, But good luck to Foreigner as far as getting into the Hall of Fame. I hope they make it. And it would be cool to see Mick and Lou actually, for real, bury the hatchet.